Very good evening and a warm welcome. It's Tuesday, the 4th of February 2014. You're joining us on Prime TV News. We take a look at our headlines first. The nation commemorates with pride its 66th independence anniversary. The President invites the nation to unite to prevent the betrayal of the freedom won, since foreign forces are determined to invade the country as in the past. The President has emphasized that today's competition is not a battle between the blues, greens and reds, but between those who love the country and the traitors. Hundreds of thousands of people converge on Kagala to view the pride of independence in freedom. And on headlines overseas, a survey reveals that corruption in Europe is costing the economy 120 billion euros. The entire country, glittering with splendor of peace, commemorates the 66th Independence Day. President Rajapaksa graced the occasion as the chief guest. Today is the National Day of the Motherland, which was liberated from the imperialists 66 years ago due to the unstinted efforts of all patriots. This year's main National Day commemoration was held at Nidhas Mawati in Kagala, centering the Sabaragamu province. This is the first time in the country's history that the main National Day commemoration was organized in the Sabaragamu province.
The Kagol district, the Kagol town. The 66th Independence Day celebrations from Kagol. Today here on the 4th of February 2014 in the Kagol district, the town of Kagol, in the newly created Nidhas Mawata, which gives the resemblance of Veera Kapetipola, one of the heroes who assembled to fight for freedom in Sri Lanka. Going by the theme to build a nation to conquer the world as one country, one nation, one Sri Lanka.
The Independence Day commemoration under the theme "Let's Unite to Build a Land of Global Winners" commenced this morning with the arrival of President Rajapaksa, First Lady Shiranti Vikramasinghe Rajapaksa and the invited guests. On arrival for the commemoration, the President was warmly welcomed by Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne, Public Administration Minister W.D.J. Seneviratne and Deputy Minister Vijay Dahanayake. The Chief of Defence Staff, Chiefs of the Armed Forces and the IGP accompanied the President for the hoisting of the national flag. Thereafter, the national anthem was rendered by school children. The President was then conducted to the special dais. It was followed by the recital of the Jai Mangala Gatha. A minute's silence was observed in memory of all patriots who sacrificed their lives on behalf of the country.
Freedom Day, Samman Mure!
A military guard of honor, followed by a 21-gun salute, was also held.
සම්මාන මුරේ සියල්ල සම්පූර්ණයි නිවැරදි සම්මාන මුරේ ඉදිරි කොටස කරගෙන යාමට ඔබතුමාගේ අවසරය පතමි උතුමාණනි
Thereafter, the president delivered his address to the nation. Foreign forces are arriving in various forms today to invade the country as in the past. Everyone should unite to rout such efforts. The country is not prepared to lose the freedom won. Addressing the nation on Independence Day, President Rajapaksa emphasized that only citizens who are born, living and are to be buried in this country have a feeling towards the motherland and not outsiders.
ත්‍රස්තවාදය පරාද කිරීමේ ජයග්‍රහණය දකුණේ ජනතාව ලබා ගන්නකොට එය උතුරේ ජනතාවට විජයග්‍රහණයක් බවට පත් කිරීමේ වගකීම තියෙන බව අපි එදා කිව්වා.
The president said that when the people of the south began to reap the benefits in the victory over terrorism, it was mentioned that it was a victory also for northern civilians. No one came forward when the human rights of the northerners were grabbed at that time. No one recalled human rights when former opposition leader Amirtha Lingam was murdered, and even Sam Thambimuthu, Minister Lakshman Kadragamar, as well as Rajiv Gandhi of India were assassinated. Thousands of children were conscripted by the LTTE before 2009, and they squandered the relief sent from the south. The terrorists also grabbed part of the salary drawn by the public workers of the north. The president queried as to where the northerners went in search of freedom. They approached the Sinhala community. No weapons were fired after 2009. The savage killings explicitly displayed the atrocities committed by the terrorists. They did not consider the value of human lives. Certain forces are at present determined to erase the terrorist activities carried out by the vicious terrorists who daily took an inestimable toll of lives, transforming the country into a stream of blood. This feature gives an explicit picture of the brutalism unleashed by the terrorists in the dark era. But it should be clearly understood that foreign forces are today determined to use the northerners who are enjoying the fruits of freedom as a shield. Extraneous forces always interfere in other countries, claiming that they will be saving the people, safeguarding human rights and consolidating democracy. He emphasized that powerful countries should understand the difficulty in pulverizing terrorism. The country faced a massive challenge which was worse than the challenge these countries were confronting today. He pointed out that the armed forces were given strict orders to launch their operations, safeguarding the lives of the civilians. Also, powerful countries, after ending the civil war, took more than 50 to 100 years to complete reconciliation. He queried whether there was any other country in the world, such as Sri Lanka, which has progressed rapidly within a short span of 4 years after ending the conflict. It is a massive crime to forward war crime allegations against Sri Lanka based on the facts provided by separatists. He considered the war crime allegations planned to be brought forward against Sri Lanka in Geneva as an attempt by those who are averse to peace. These proposals lack peace and justice. The president underlined that the country is not geared to deprive the country of the freedom that had been won. Other than outsiders, those who are born and are living in Sri Lanka are in desperate need to safeguard the peace achieved. The past was being recalled when baseless allegations were made against the country. Revenge was not at all part of Sri Lanka's culture. The president elaborated that it is not blue, green or red battle that is now prevailing in this country. He claimed that the competition is between the groups which love and do not love the country. The president noted that as terrorism was vanquished, action was initiated to eliminate the underworld in the south. These measures were being taken while safeguarding the enacted laws and without enacting new laws. Instead of enacting new laws, the state of emergency, which was in force for 30 years, was abrogated. The president said that media censorship was not imposed despite its obstructions when the battle was waged against terrorism. The doors of the country were opened even to media institutions which are not permitted to enter other countries. The president said that their competition was not with blue, green, red or yellow or with the Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities. He underlined that their competition was between those who love the country and the traitors. He said that all communities and religions are living in unity. He made a fervent appeal to all countries to unite with them to consolidate the nation's journey towards democracy, development and national freedom, as well as to solidify human rights. Recalling that 2/3 of the country was under the domination of the terrorists when he assumed power, the president pointed out that by today, the entire country has been united and that it had been possible to develop the country which no one would have ever dreamt of. The president mentioned that this national flag was hoisted at a time when the entire island was enjoying freedom. When the people endorsed the Mahinda Chintana in the year 2005 to achieve dignified peace for the motherland, the country had no free access to 1/3 of the land. 2/3 of the coast of Sri Lanka was forcibly occupied by the Tiger terrorists. The country's unity and economic freedom was severely impacted. Previous administrations did not fulfill the responsibility of winning economic freedom and accelerating the development of the country. Even airlines, gas companies, tea estate companies, insurance companies were endorsed to the nation. A modern road network was built through the construction of expressways. A new airport was built in addition to the construction of ports. Sri Lanka was also made the only country in Asia which provides electricity around the clock, sans interruptions. In this manner, the president said that value of freedom was granted to the nation. Hundreds of thousands of graduates have been given jobs. The country has directed the path for those who are unable to enter university to pursue their higher studies and vocational education. No one would have expected 8 years ago the standard of development the country has achieved today. Sri Lanka was able to stage for the first time a Commonwealth summit. The president added that even the worst critics had endorsed the infrastructure development that has taken place in the country. The country's 66th Independence Day commemoration was held with pomp and pageantry. It included parades of the tri-forces, the police and the Civil Defence Department, as well as many cultural features of the school children.
මිතුරුව එතොත් දූවිලිවුව වැළඳගම් සතුරුව එතොත් මෙර ගිරවුව පසිදලමු හිතුවක්කාර කම කැයි මෙය නොසිතලනු යුතුයකම එයයි එහෙයින් එහි පුරුදු වෙනු ජාතිය වෙනුවෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා මාතෘ භූමියේ නිදහස වෙනුවෙන් සිය යුතුයකම් කොටස අනබිබවනීය ලෙස ඉටු කරමින් සිටින ශ්‍රී ලංකා ආරක්ෂක සේනාවන්හි ආචාර්ය පෙළපාලිය මේ විදිහට තම ආචාර්ය එකතු කිරීම අවසන් කරයින් අනතුරුව සංස්කෘතික පෙරහරේ ආරම්භයයි දැන් ඔබට දකින්නට පිළිවන්කම තිබෙන්නේ. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රදේශ ගණනාවක සංස්කෘතික මධ්‍යස්ථාන සහ පාසල් බාලක බාලිකාවන් මෙම සංස්කෘතික පෙරහැර වර්ණවත් කරන්නට එකතු වනවා ඇති. මැනිකෝ මිනිරන් පතල් කර්මාන්තයේ විවිධ ක්‍රියාකාරකම් නිරූපණය කරමින් නිර්මිත ජන නැටුමක් මේ ඔබ දකින්නේ. මුස්ලිම් නර්තනයක් අපට දකින්නට පිළිවන්. 66 වන නිදහස් සමරුවේ මේ සංස්කෘතික පෙරහැර විචිත්‍රවත් කරමින් කොමාගම මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ විද්‍යාලය ඉදිරිපත් කරන දීවර නර්තනයයි දැන් ඔබ දකින්නේ. කලය රංග භාණ්ඩය කොටගෙන කාන්තාවන් විසින් පමණක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන නර්තනාංගයක් විදිහට කලගෙඩි නර්තනය ප්‍රකට වඩිග පටුන නර්තනය 66 වන නිදහස් සමරුවට රැගෙන එන්නේ ගම්පහ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මීරිගම සංස්කෘතික මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ. ලක්ෂ ගණනක් ජනතාව අද කෑගල්ල නගරයට එක්රොක් වී මේ 66 වන නිදහසේ අභිමානය හතර කෝරළයට ලැබීම පිළිබඳව සතුටු වෙමින් නිදහස සමරන්නට එකතු වෙලා තිබෙන වෙලාවේ
Absolutely colorful. Hundreds of thousands of people descended on the Kagala city and the Nidahas Mawata to witness the pride of independence. It was several years back that measures were initiated to organize the Independence Day commemoration, which was earlier limited only to Colombo in remote areas, based on an idea mooted by President Rajapaksa. This year, the opportunity of staging the commemoration dawned to the Kagala city within the Sabaragamuwa province. It was several hours before the commencement of the Independence Day commemoration that the Kagala city and the Nidahas Mawata transformed into a sea of heads. The people began converging on the commemoration venue so that they could select a better position to have a clear glance of their leader and also view the pride of the ceremonies sans any obstructions. While the venue of the commemoration was congested, it was clearly witnessed how many had even climbed nearby rooftops and buildings. Hitherto, Such a vast gathering where displayed their eagerness to view an Independence Day commemoration had not been witnessed in recent history. President Rajapaksa, at the conclusion of the commemoration, seized the opportunity to mingle with the enthusiastic crowd.
Still at home, the country gained freedom through blood, tears, sweat and sacrifice of lives. Those who made supreme sacrifices to achieve this freedom are permanently the heroes of this motherland.
This beautiful island, called the Pearl of the Indian Ocean, came under the domination of once the Portuguese, the Dutch, as well as the British. We still feel from the soil of this beautiful island the sweetness of the blood, tears and sweat of our forefathers who battled the British in search of freedom. In addition to patriots such as Veera Kappetipula, Gongale Gudabanda, Veerapura Nappu and Ahalepula, the soil is soaked with blood of also children such as Madhuma Bandara, who did not fear the sword. February 4th, 1948 dawned as a result of the sacrifice of blood, tears, sweat and lives. Political heroes at that time succeeded in hurting the British imperialists through demonstrations and protests of the freedom struggle that built on with the sword and the gun. There were no communal, religious, color or caste differences in the achievement of freedom. Other than Anagarika Dharmapala, Balisingh Harishchandra, Sir D.B. Jayatilak and Henry Pedres, a valid contribution was made by Tamil heroes such as Ponnambalam Ramanathan and Ponnambalam Arunachalam to make freedom a reality. The Venerable Kudapula Thera, the Venerable Migettuate Gunananda Thera, the Venerable S. Mahinda Thera, the Venerable Varyapula Sumangala Thera and the Venerable Sri Sumangala Thera are permanent monk heroes in the achievement of the freedom of the motherland. The country, which was traversing on an accelerated development path, again lost its freedom due to the brutal LTTE terrorism. The people of the country, which was scourged with terrorism for 30 years, again had to live in fear and suspicion. It was thereafter the new life was injected to the motherland by the people's leader who took over its reins in the year 2005. Not only as a political party leader, but also as a leader of the people, honored his pledge to regain freedom to the country on 18 May 2009. The country today enjoys the fruits of real freedom. This was not achieved through documents, but through the launch of a humanitarian operation. In this manner, the President endowed to the nation real freedom. We are vested with a massive responsibility in the journey towards becoming the miracle of not only Asia but also of the world, diverting the country which suffered setback for 30 years to the correct path. The task is vested in us as media. The role played by the media at that time in the freedom struggle is uphill. Sinhala newspapers such as Sarasavi and Sandarasa, Tamil newspapers such as Udayabanu, and also Muslim papers such as the Muslim Nation provided an impetus to the freedom struggle. Papers such as Dinamina took the forefront in saving the motherland. The Kamkarua newspaper, released by young leaders such as Dr. N.M. Pereira, Dr. S.A. Vikramasinghe, Philip Gunawardena, Colvin de Silva, and Peter Kahneman of the Samasamaja Party, in the search of socialist politics, played an outstanding role through the media in the battle against the British imperialists. The contribution made by the media in the mega operation of the people's leader to end the 30-year-old brutal war is momentous. As the media channel of the motherland, we have fulfilled our responsibilities towards the country. At a time when the motherland was commemorating the 66th independence with pride, we wish to reiterate that we would be unconditionally dedicated for the freedom of the motherland.
Your journey around the globe begins. Here's Prime World.
According to a survey carried out by the European Commission, the extent of corruption in Europe is costing the EU economy at least 120 billion euros a year. This is the equivalent of the EU's total annual budget and could significantly weaken the continent's perceived reputation for transparency. Experiences of corruption vary across the 28-country bloc. However, according to the report, most companies in Greece, Spain and Italy believe it is widespread. Meanwhile, corruption is considered rare in the Scandinavian countries such as Denmark, Finland and Sweden, with Denmark seen as the least corrupt. Under the terms of an interim nuclear deal, the USA has allowed the transfer of $550 million in Iran's frozen oil revenues to the country. The US Treasury Department announced the transaction a day after Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif met with US Secretary of State John Kerry. Zarif gave a press conference in Berlin on the day the news of the transfer broke. In return, Iran will receive temporary relief from certain sanctions. Over 6 months, the US and EU will make 8 installments of a total of $4.2 billion of Iran's previously frozen assets.
Action on Prime Sports is up next.
And he starts with a wide down the leg side.
Kumar Sangakkara became the leading century maker among active test players as Sri Lanka bounced back strongly after a shaky start in the second test against Bangladesh in Chittagong. The tourists, who won the first test by an innings and 248 runs in Dhaka last week, recovered from 49 for 2 to a comfortable 314 for 5 at stumps on the opening day at the Zahoor Ahmed Chowdhury Stadium. Left-handed Sangakkara was unbeaten on 160, his 34th Test 100 that drew him level with retired Sunil Gavaskar and Brian Lara in the all-time list of century makers. Sangakkara, a 36-year-old veteran playing his 122nd Test, followed his 75 in the first Test with an impressive innings that has so far contained 19 boundaries and 3 sixes. Tomorrow is day 2.
Up them to get 2 quick wickets.
And it's time for us to go. It was fantastic having you with us. You can log on to our website www.itnnews.lk for more information. This is Sasangadai signing off for Prime TV News. Good night.